We now turn to another story which is also filled with political intrigue, the selection of a new president for Miami-Dade College. After a 6-month national search, the selection process fell apart this week when the Board of Trustees, the majority of whom were recently appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis, decided to scrap everything and start over. There are allegations that the selection process is being rigged to favor political insiders. Is it true? Well, joining me this morning to discuss what is happening is Mark Richards, longtime union attorney who represents the interests of professors at the college, and Marcel Philippe, a recently appointed member of the Board of Trustees and one of the individuals pushing to start over with the selection of a new president. So, Marcel, let me start with you. Is this process now being rigged for some political insider? Why did we need to scrap the entire process that had been going on for 6 months?
Well, first of all, I think that I would like to see, by the time we're done, if the people that are making these allegations, just because we disagree with them on process, are willing to apologize when they see that those allegations are completely unfounded. Because quite frankly, I think our civic discourse has to be a little bit more giving the other side the opportunity to show that they're acting in good faith. Look, I was brought here, asked by the governor to serve on this board for free. I don't make any money out of this. I don't have any particular interest in this. My business has nothing to do with this, to serve the community. And I sat here and been told that I'm going to make a decision that is going to impact the future, not just of Miami-Dade College, but all South Florida, perhaps for 2 generations. And then that you want me to make that decision in my first or second meeting. Very first thing I said when I got there was, I am not ready to make that decision. If it's my name at the end of the day, my reputation, my signature that's going on that paper saying this is the choice that we've made. And if you wanted me to make that decision, then I want to do it with all of the facts. Now, I told them that the very first day. I said, listen, you want me to jump in bed at the last minute, at least take me to dinner, give me some wine, and let's see where it leads.
Well, let me just ask you this. There was a process. There was a national search firm that was hired to do it. I think they spent about $150,000. There was a 17-member selection committee with some very big, reputable names on it from the community. There were buy-in from both students and teachers and different various community groups. Isn't what you've basically done shown them a tremendous amount of disrespect as well by telling them that their process wasn't good enough for you, that you had to start over so that you could have control of it?
No, listen, if they wanted to have this done, because when everyone says, oh, it's been 6 months and we spent all this money, then you should have done that with the old board. And you should have done it in less than the 7 months that it took you to do it. Now, you have a completely brand new board, and at the end of the day, it's my name, it's my reputation that's going on that decision. And quite frankly, I wanted to leave it at that and not go beyond that. But then immediately, once I say that, and the reaction is not, well, that's a reasonable statement, because after all, we haven't even been told what the mission and vision for the university for the next 5 years. Do we want to be a high-tech university? Do we want to be a vocational leader so that I can know what to look in a president? No, the accusation is immediate. Well, you're trying to rig it to put some political hack. Well, I have to be honest. My first reaction, and what I didn't want to say, is when I look at the qualifications, it seemed tailor-made for a candidate. And Mr. Richards here sat there and said, with or without evidence, I had a lot of people that told me that this was going to be the result. And you know what? With or without evidence, I had a lot of people tell me that by the end of this selection process, no matter who else looked at it, there was going to be an inside candidate that was favored. And guess what happened? At the end of the selection process, there was only one qualified candidate, not the most qualified, one qualified candidate. And that was the favorite of the administration and the favorite of Dr. Padron.
All right, let me bring Mark into this. So does he not make a point that this process could have been better handled?
He makes a point. It's just the wrong point. This entire process had over 500 inquiries. It had the people like Jose Mas, Roberto Martinez, the United Way, students, outstanding professors, all stakeholders there. It was done in the sunshine with a search firm. It was done over months. He was invited to the interviews with the presentations of all of the candidates. They got down to 7. From that 7, they winnowed to 4. Nary a complaint, nary an attendance. The trustees could have come to these things. Some did and some didn't. And everyone asked, is this process going to be fair? And they said yes. They said, when will it be done? And they laid out a timeline. And the timeline called for the end for them to vote to pick the new president. It was all set up. And when you take on a new board position, I respect him and appreciate that he did that. You should know what your job is. You don't get to be the president of the United States, get sworn in 90 days after taking office and say you can't do the job. And so they had a timeline and they had a process. What they've said to everybody is, we're taking it over. We might change the qualifications. Let's look at the qualifications of the four. They had to have a doctorate and 10 years managerial experience, 6 of which in higher ed. That's the minimum qualification for the job. And all of them had that, and they had 4 candidates. It's their decision. He's the trustee.
Well, let me ask you, let me just hold you here for a second. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked of him. Do you believe that this process has now been rigged to engender an outcome with a specific person close to the governor, close to the state administration, to try to get the job of president? Do you think they're trying to force somebody into that position?
Only they would know, and I don't have evidence that they're doing it. The appearance is terrible, but I have to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're good citizens here. What I do know are the facts. They had a date and a process, and they undid it. It was done in the sunshine, and they turned around and said, we're starting brand new. We've dismissed all the stakeholders. They're dismissed. And they don't even know who's going to be interim. They have no deadlines, no search firm, and no process. Those are the facts.
Let me ask you, Marcel, because obviously the selection committee has now been disbanded. Do you envision that the Board of Trustees, the 7 members of the Board of Trustees, you, the other members, most of whom have now been appointed by the governor, that you will act as the selection committee?
No, listen, let's take a step back, because, by the way, thank you for giving us the benefit of the doubt. It's the first time you've done this entire process. You've gone directly to accuse us of political hacking without knowing the facts. So, but I appreciate that you've changed that position. That's not exactly what happened. We all agreed, and Dr. Migoya, or Mr. Migoya led that discussion, that we were only presented with only one qualified candidate, which was Dr. Padron's candidate at the end of the day. And again, that's the same thing that I saw from the very beginning, but I did not want, there was no need to do that.
I just want to ask, will the Board of Trustees now act as its own selection committee? Because there were members of the selection committee who said they won't serve again.
Okay. What Mr. Migoya proposed was, let's forget about all the other candidates that applied. And since we only have one qualified candidate, but we don't want to be left with only one, because then it's a selection, Roman Emperor style, el dedazo, rather than an election. And as my colleague, Mr. Beleka said, you know, when he's handled searches like this for multi-billion-dollar companies, you want to be left with 2 or 3 candidates that are all so good that you're not really sure which one to go for. And in the end, you can't make a mistake. And this is a very important decision. And we should be able to have 2 or 3 really, really good qualified candidates. I think the process now, to answer your question, is going to have to be something we're going to discuss in the next few weeks. I think it might be something where you have the board input what we want, so that a short window selection can be made. I think Dr. Rodizio is a qualified candidate, with one exception.
That's the inside candidate who comes from within the university.
Correct. And again, the reason I didn't want to make that an issue is because there's no need to second guess people's intentions. I mean, regardless of how, even if that were the case, that it had been rigged from the beginning.
Before I come to Mark, I just want to ask you a yes or no question. Have you had discussions with either the governor or the lieutenant governor or members of their staff about who to appoint or who to select, or about this selection process?
No, I have not had any discussions. The governor, the lieutenant governor, their staff, any fundraiser or anybody that's no, we have not.
Mark,
so it's amazing. He's a good man. It's amazing that he would pretend with no facts that Eduardo Padron steered this. That means Bob Martinez, Jose Mas, the leader of the United Way. Is that what you're really saying? Those
Nope.
17 people, some of which I know and have grown up with, the professors, are amazing. They went and they followed the criteria. Every interview was live streamed. It was done in the sunshine, and they literally came down to 4 candidates. The only group that changed the rules at the 9th inning and made 4 strikes and out is my colleague over here.
I'm going to give you the last word. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that you will end up with a good candidate at the end of this process?
I think we're going to end up with an excellent candidate. And that excellent candidate may very well be Dr. Rodizio, or it may be someone as qualified or more qualified than her. That's definitely what I believe that's going to happen. And it's not going to be a political hack. And at the end of the day, Mr. Richards, because I know he has the best interest of the college in mind, will say, you know, you were right, and I apologize when we get to the bottom of this. But let me say something about what he just said. I did not say that, that Dr. Padron rigged this. What I said was, and these are direct quote from Dr. Padron, if she's not the chosen one, the entire world would be very upset. If she is, if she's not chosen, it will be a great loss for the college.
I got to cut it off here because we need to move on. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both. Obviously, this isn't going to be solved quickly. We'll be happy to have you back on, especially after the board trustees meet again and sort of set the criteria going forward. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Up next, the race for the new mayor of Miami-Dade County is underway, and in a moment, you'll meet one of the contenders, County Commissioner Danielle Levine Cava. That's when we come back.